What's going on? And thank you for tuning in to the Skol State of Mind podcast. Now, I got a bonus video for y'all today. I kind of been cooking this video for some time now, and I kind of felt I had to wait for the perfect time to address my grievances with Kevin O'Connell. And I really didn't want it to come off like something that's super emotional or something that's just erratic, not based in facts. I really wanted to wait and let things play themselves out before I did a video like this because I've been feeling this kind of way since last year. And if you see the title, then you know what it is. It's time to start holding Kevin O'Connell accountable for what's going on with the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I broke this down in a few bullet points and I'm going to go through them. Let me know what y'all think. So let's dive into it. The accountability shift, right? Now, this is what I mean by the accountability shift. For the past couple of seasons, it seems like everybody was to blame except Kevin O'Connell. And when you start to bring up Kevin O'Connell is not doing this right, I think he's not doing that. Some people will automatically like shut their ears off and be like, nah, Kevin O'Connell is a great coach, and you're not getting it, you're too hard on him. But it's okay for us to blame assistant coaches, to blame players, the GM, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. It's okay to blame him. Shit, people even give blame to the owners, Mark and Ziggy Whiff, before they hold Kevin O'Connell accountable. Now it's time. I really feel now it's time. And if you're watching this video, this ain't just based upon the first two games of the season. Just like I said in the opening, I've been thinking about this for some time. I just really wanted things to simmer and cook before I brought it to y'all, and I didn't want it to be so emotional. All right. So let's talk about this real quick. Let me bring it up. The offensive savant expectations, right? Do y'all remember when Kevin O'Connell was given his job? It was so much praise and so much talk about him being an offensive savant. And mind you, one of the main reasons why Kevin O'Connell was brought into the Minnesota Vikings was to develop a young quarterback for the future, not fix old ones. Let me say that again. He was brought in to develop a young quarterback for the future, not to fix old ones. And it seems like people give way more praise to Kevin O'Connell for, oh, look what he did with Josh Dobbs. Oh, he turned Kirk Cousins around. Oh, he revamped, Sam Darnold's career. All right, that's cool. But that's not what the main job he was supposed to do. He was supposed to come here, identify a young quarterback, and develop him into a franchise quarterback. Now, I'm going to ask y'all out there. Name me a quarterback that Kevin O'Connell has developed. I'll wait. I will wait. Because when he got this job off of the Super Bowl run that the Los Angeles Rams had, they had a veteran quarterback in Matthew Stafford. He didn't develop him. Okay. When first year with the Minnesota Vikings, it was Kirk Cousins. Now you can say, oh, he made Kirk Cousins be a better quarterback. That's what I'm talking about. He's fixing things. He's propping the offensive up to make it look a certain way so quarterbacks can succeed. He's giving them the actual, answer to the test before they actually happen. That's fine. But we're talking about quarterback development. All right. In the offensive savant situation, I think we got to stop giving him that because look at his offense right now. All right. So, since we're talking about development, let's talk about JJ McCarthy's development. I know it's the first 2 games, but this offense has been piss poor. This offense has been terrible. I don't think Kevin O'Connell is putting McCarthy in the right situations to succeed. And what I mean by that is, if you know football, then you understand that some of the best things for young quarterbacks in their development stage is a consistent running game, a good defense, a tight end that can be, a blanket and a check down. I feel the Vikings have all those things, but Kevin O'Connell is not putting JJ McCarthy in the positions to succeed, right? And what I mean by him not putting the quarterback in a position to succeed is like, this is JJ McCarthy's first year actually starting. Yes, this might be his second year on paper, but he's technically a rookie. So some of the things that he sees out there from opposing defenses, he's might be seeing these things for the first time. And before you go and say that, oh, what about Brian Flores' defense? Brian Flores' defense is unique to every defense out there. Nobody runs a Brian Flores defense. And you have to understand this too, that when you're in practice or in training camp, the defense can't really hurt the quarterback. They can't touch him. They can't really get the reps all the way through. But during the season, you're playing against other teams. They're able to get the full rep in. That's what people have to understand. And Kevin O'Connell is not putting McCarthy in a position to succeed. Let's dive into that a little bit more. Scheme impact. All right. Here's the scheme impact on the offensive lineman. All right. This is what we got to understand. All right. Kevin O'Connell's scheme pushes the receivers down the field. Right. Kevin O'Connell wants to create these long developing plays down the field. We've seen that with Kirk Cousins. We've seen that with Josh Dobbs. We've seen that with Nick Mullins. And we've seen that last year with Sam Darnold. He wants to have these young, long developing plays down the field. And this is how the scheme affects the lineman. Now, I used to argue on Twitter, on this channel, a whole lot about the unfairness of Ed Ingram, right? And Ingram was the quote unquote worst lineman in the league, right? And I got to give credit out there to Tyler Fornes, because Tyler Fornes pointed this out last year. And this is something that kind of fell on deaf ears in the whole Viking, atmosphere. A lot of people don't get this. Kevin O'Connell wants to drive the ball down the field all the time. By doing so, you force your linemen to hold their blocks longer, right? Think about that for a second. Your linemen have to hold their blocks longer because you want the routes down the field to develop. The routes have to be able to be completed down the field until McCarthy to throw the ball, right? It takes time. So linemen are holding their blocks longer. So you know what happens? They lose reps. Ed Ingram lost a lot of reps after he held his man up. Not held his man up, but actually was in front of his man on a blocking scheme for over 5 seconds. Now, the same thing is happening right now with this current remake of offensive line. Now, if the Vikings went out there and they went and got rid of their center, right guard, and left guard and replaced them with other people, right? So tell me this. I'm not a big PFF guy. Why in the first 2 weeks of the season that Ed Ingram, Garrett Bradbury, and Ezra Cleveland have better PFF grades than the 3 linemen that the Vikings have brought in? Now, don't come at me and say, oh, you have to understand that Darisaw is not playing. Darisaw is one man on a 5-man offensive line. And we have to be fair about Darisaw. We don't know what Darisaw is going to look like when he actually plays. So we are supposed to come in here and expect Darrisaw to come in here and be all-world Darrisaw the first game of the season is going to take him time. But with Kevin O'Connell's scheme, he puts more stress on his linemen. And people out there understand this and they say, hey, how come he's not doing any quick game? How come he's not doing that? Because he doesn't want to. And in turn, that creates more sacks for your young rookie quarterback. Because if they can't hold their blocks for a long time, then you see him scrambling. You see him breaking down. That's something Kevin O'Connell needs to work on. All right. So here's another thing. Reoccurring offensive issues. All right. And this is what I mean by reoccurring offensive issues. The offense, since Kevin O'Connell has been the head coach of the team, has stretches where they just look like dog shit. We know this. We've seen Kevin O'Connell's offense come out there and start the game good with the scripted plays. Then the offense just disappears in the second and third quarter. Then they have to rally back to win the game in the fourth. Why is that? Why is that? Why did that consistently happen to this team? Now, I got an idea. I just think Kevin O'Connell doesn't want to do too many in-game, strategies. He doesn't like changing his strategy all the time. He wants to keep it the way it is, but the way it is isn't working. It disappears. That can't happen. And it puts so much strain on the defense. Now, in my opinion, this might be maybe the last season that Brian Flores is here as the defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I don't know what that's going to look like, but when your offense is consistently going 3 and out and your defense has to play multiple snaps, multiple series, you're wearing your own defense down by your offense not doing this job. There's a term out there called complementary football, right? If you're able to run the ball on offense, get positive plays, bleed some of the clock, then in that essence, you're able to keep your defense fresh. We saw in a Falcon game, I'm not going to say the defense gave up, but the defense looked tired at the end of the game because they basically held that team to no touchdowns for majority of that game. And that's has to be something that we have to start blaming Kevin O'Connell for. I don't want to hear that shit and say, oh, Brian Flores is not coaching his defense correctly. They gave up this play, they gave up that play. Like, I'll give it to Brian Flores too. Like, I'm a big Brian Flores critiquer. But at the same time, I have to understand that, Kevin O'Connell might be to blame for this defense to be looking a little bad because his offense is going 3 and out. And that goes right back to what I said before about him being an offensive savant. Excuse the dogs in the background. Sorry. But that's just something that we as Vikings fans have to express and have to get off our chest and talk about, right? Now, with the offensive line regression, this is something, that is need to be looked at, right? Because we all thought that basically Will Fries, Ryan Kelly, Donovan Jackson, they were going to be great. But just like I said earlier, how can they be great when they're being asked to do so much? It's just time, y'all. It's time to have this uncomfortable conversation about Kevin O'Connell. And this isn't something to where, it's like I said before about, this isn't something to where I'm like, oh, he needs to get fired. It's just a conversation we need to start having as Viking fans because we need to learn to be honest about what's going on with this team. We spent a lot of time blaming everybody else besides Kevin O'Connell. Now it's time to put some of the blame and hold Kevin O'Connell accountable going forward. Because just like I said earlier in this video, one of the main reasons why he was brought here was to develop a young quarterback into a franchise quarterback. And we don't We don't know what's going to happen with JJ McCarthy because he's hurt right now. He may be out 2 to 4 weeks on a high ankle sprain. I understand that. I don't think it's some quiet benching to where they're trying to mask it with the injury. I think he really is hurt. But if JJ McCarthy comes back, he has to change some things to make this offensive scheme way more conducive for a young quarterback. Because I already know what's going to happen. We're going to see Concert Wentz play on Sunday against the Bengals, and let's just say he does well. Then a lot of people out there in the Vikings atmosphere are going to be like, well, he has the hot hand, and we won a couple of games with Wentz. Maybe we shouldn't go back to McCarthy. But I'm going to ask you this, if you think that. What's more important at this juncture with the Vikings? Is developing your young QB more important, or do you just want this team to stack up wins? Because we've did that already. We had a 13-win season with Kirk Cousins and a playoff loss. Sam Darnold had a 14-win season and a playoff loss. This team is built to have a young QB on a rookie pay scale. Think about that for a second. A young QB on a rookie pay scale. That's how this team is built right now. So I'm going to ask y'all Viking fans, y'all have to be okay with JJ McCarthy not playing good in some games. You have to be okay with that. And you have to start holding Kevin O'Connell for not developing McCarthy in the right way. Because if you keep having to go back to veteran quarterbacks, then you can't develop one. That's just how I look at it. There's no need for Carson Wentz to play the whole season if JJ McCarthy is healthy. Sam Darnold played last year mainly off the back that McCarthy basically was done for the whole year. We have to stop going backwards as a franchise. We have to hold this man accountable. We have to stop listening to people in the media that's propping him up to be this offensive savant and this quarterback guru that has this quarterback school that everybody needs to go to. That's bullshit. If you want this team to win a Super Bowl, it's time to start holding Kevin O'Connell accountable. Because that's the goal. The goal isn't winning 14 games in the regular season. The goal is bringing the first Super Bowl to Minnesota. That's the goal. And how you obtain that goal is you have to develop a young quarterback while he's on a rookie pay scale and have the things around him that's going to help him get you to where you need to be. Kevin O'Connell might have a problem with that. I'm not sure if he can get the job done. And if he can't get the job done, I am going to say it. He should not be here. You can keep the double-digit win seasons. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah has done a great job, in my opinion, with giving Kevin O'Connell everything he needs to succeed on paper. It's time for Kevin O'Connell to do the right things, to be the offensive guru that we think he is. It's crazy that I'm hearing people say, oh, it's the offensive line coach is problem while the offensive line is bad. No. Kevin O'Connell is the head coach of this team. We had offensive line trouble the past 3 seasons that has been the same damn coach. Why are we waiting till now to start having a conversation about Chris Cooper? And that's what I'm saying. We blame everybody else except Kevin O'Connell. It's time, y'all. It's time. Y'all can hear it in my voice that I'm frustrated. I went all the way to Minnesota this past weekend so I can see JJ McCarthy for the first time at US Bank Stadium, starting for the first time. And it was a fucking dud of an offense. You got Kevin O'Connell basically dropping McCarthy back for a play down the field when it's like 2nd and 2. Then he gets sacked, and now it's like 3rd and 25. That's putting your quarterback in a tough situation when you should have just fucking ran the ball. But we've been seeing Kevin O'Connell do this shit for the past 3 seasons. A lot of us out here, content creators, have been saying it, and we've been the ones that have been called crazy. But now we cannot ignore this shit anymore. Do I believe Kevin O'Connell can get things done? I don't know. I think he has the ability to do it, but he needs to get out of his own way. And I really don't want to hear, well, maybe McCarthy's not ready. Then Kevin O'Connell didn't get him ready. Because it's a big difference from a young quarterback starting for the first time in his career versus Carson Wentz that's played over 10 years. There's a difference there. And if Kevin O'Connell wants to just fix old veteran quarterbacks, that's fine. But that's not the reason why you got this job. Let's just be real. So I'm going to end it on that note. If you watch this video all the way through, I really appreciate it. Get in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. I'm going to stay active on the socials on how I feel about this. I really hope the Vikings can get this together. I hope the Vikings can win on Sunday with Carson Wentz. And as soon as McCarthy's available and his health is right, he can get his job back. Because I don't want to hear that shit, well, we got to go with the hot hand. No, we need the young quarterback to develop. We need him to develop. So I'm going to leave that here. Let me know what y'all think. Skol, baby.